Luisa Chu.
Mabuhay and magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Good afternoon, everyone. My country is a land with 7,107 islands. It is a land with a rich culture, with colorful festivals, the world's most popular beaches, and the nicest, most hospitable people you will encounter. And the food, there is so much to say about the delicacies you can treat your taste buds to upon visiting our country. But beyond this beauty, we face many challenges as a developing country where occupational therapy is viewed as a relatively young profession. As occupational therapists from the Philippines, we have found it particularly challenging to define our role to our countrymen. The direct translation of the word occupation is trabajo, or formal work. Many of our countrymen have found it difficult to relate to these existing definitions of occupation. Mr. Anthony Gresha, president of the Occupational Therapy Association of the Philippines, and our research team of OTs conceptualized a series of quantitative and qualitative studies to understand the structural meaning of occupation for Filipinos as part of his doctorate studies in clinical psychology. Our aim is not to alter existing definitions, but to make our understanding of our profession more relatable to our countrymen. The first phase of our study made use of an exploratory cross-sectional lexical approach, beginning with a survey of 100 non-OT Filipino adults and asking them to provide 8 to 10 Filipino or Tagalog words that describe their preferred, non-preferred, and neutral daily activities. So you can see here the questions that we asked them. The 62 or top 30% most frequently used words were included in a questionnaire. Another 300 participants were asked to rate how well each word describes their preferred, non-preferred, and neutral activities using a 4-point Likert scale.
Data was analyzed using exploratory factor analysis and confirmatory factor analysis, which would group the words into categories or factors. Exploratory factor analysis was completed using the principal components analysis and Varimax notation. Coefficients below 0.35 were suppressed. Items with commonalities less than 0.5 and items which cross-loaded on 2 or more factors were deleted. Confirmatory factor analysis was also completed through structural equation modeling, through AMOS, and fit indices were examined. 4 factors were extracted out of each classification of occupation. Preferred occupation factors accounted for 69.71% of the variance. Non-preferred occupation factors accounted for 66.03% of the variance. And neutral occupation factors explain 68% of the variance. You can observe that negative valence remain to be consistent throughout each classification. The SEM reflects that all 3 classifications, the preferred, non-preferred, and neutral classifications are correlated, thus they are all effectively describing occupation. This model revealed good fit indices suggested by the GFI, AGFI, and CFI. This reflects that the quantitative statistical methods were able to support the factors or dimensions derived. Here are some of the examples of the words that were grouped into labeled factors. Our results generated 6 predominant factors, which were labeled as follows. Is calming, brings happiness, is fulfilling, requires physical exertion, is negatively experienced, and reflects the Filipino love for food. The first 4 factors were found to be consistent with existing descriptions of occupation as meaningful, self-initiated, and valued daily pursuits. However, we also found that 2 factors unique to our culture had emerged. These are negatively experienced and Filipinos' love for food. You may be wondering why food. Food for Filipinos symbolizes a term of pakikipagkapwa, which also translates to doing things for others or the concept of others. An example would be farming. It's the main source of livelihood in our country. In this activity, farmers spend the whole day exposed to the hot tropical sun. They become tired and stressed from how difficult it is to uplift their standards of living. But while they work, they keep in mind that the work they're doing is also for themselves and for their families. And this provides them with a feeling of calmness and happiness. After a day's hard work, the farmer takes home his leftover crops for his family to enjoy for dinner, and this provides him with a sense of fulfillment.
Thus, our proposed definition of occupational therapy for Filipinos is occupations are positively and negatively experienced activities that require physical exertion while satisfying one's need for happiness, fulfillment, and calmness, and reflecting the Filipinos' cultural heritage of food. The definition we have formulated in comparison to the existing definitions of occupation by YERCSA and the WFOT have similarities in identifying occupation as meaningful and purposeful activities that are named in the lexicon of our culture. We recognize that the example we have given a while ago, farming, is still included in formal work participation, but for the Filipinos in the audience, think about your simple daily activities like preparing food or baon for your children, taking a jeepney to work, shopping at the Mall of Asia, or eating lechon, which is pig, our favorite pig. Hopefully, you will find that some or even all of the 6 factors are reflected in those activities. The unique emphasis of our definition is that the meaning that we develop explicitly states that occupation is both a positive and a negative experience. It also suggests that meaning is embedded in the natural language or lexicon, and it emphasizes the importance of food and eating for the Filipinos. But what is the implication for those who aren't Filipinos in the audience? Well, it's that function is a result of balance between both positive and negative experiences occurring within each occupation. The unique meaning of occupation in various countries may be explored through this lexical approach, the one that we use in this study, and each country may have a representation of their unique culture and values embedded in their meaning of occupation. Occupational therapy may be a young profession in our country, but it continues to be our goal as Filipino occupational therapists to continue moving forward with the world in the service of the Filipino people. And understanding what occupation means to us Filipinos, to our countrymen, is always the first step. Thank you very much.
Lovely, thank you. Have we got any questions for Raina and Louisa?
Just a comment, really. Thank you for sharing that with us. It's both beautifully constructed and beautifully presented, and really begs the question, I wonder if there were any implicit meanings for occupation in my country that we haven't yet explored.
Yes, that's actually what we would like to share also, and to challenge everyone to look for some cultural thing to add to your definitions of occupation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Raina, any other questions? A couple more rounds. Raina, just a brief one. You illustrated here, I guess, the work around understanding and translating the meaning of one word within your culture and language. What about all of the other many words that get used within occupational science and occupational therapy? Perhaps just a comment, is this the beginning of how you come to make sense of the many words that otherwise might be used within this literature that I'm familiar with from New Zealand and Australia and America?
Well, actually, that is one of the challenges that we see, really, how to incorporate all the theory that we've learned as OTs from different countries, and then use it in our practice and share it in our national language. So this is just the first phase, and we're really looking forward to incorporating more terms that we use, like ADLs, IDLs, and even occupational science terms to share with our countrymen.
Thank you. All right, we've still got time for another question. Thank you. Well, if you join with me again in thanking our two presenters.